for this day, and thank you for the rain, and thank you for the sunshine, and just thank you for each and every person here. And just thank you for the city that you've allowed us to live in, and just to make it for each and every person here that tries to make it a better place. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, Carol. We'll turn it over to you, and thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to thank you all again. And we're going to have to speed this up a little, as you can kind of heard. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to have Monica Fowler, she's going to come up and tell you about a wonderful group, the Ambassadors of Paducah. I mean, we are so thankful to have a group like this and how they participate in greeting our neighbors and our guests into Paducah.
Quit talking, I'm going to say some of those things.
Welcome, Monica.
Thank you all tonight, and we thank each and every one of you who are here, and we really, really thank you all for lighting up. And you just made this a spectacular 60th anniversary celebration of Dogwood Trail. And tonight, the Civic Beautification Board invited special guests here tonight, and those are our ambassadors in Paducah. And I know you all have seen them all over town because they welcome everybody and make everybody feel so welcome in their presence. And they give directions to everybody. And so it's just a wonderful thing that our city has. This is another thing that sets our city apart from other cities, our ambassador program. And I especially want to thank tonight two members who took care of the trolley rides for us, Roy Hensel and Kim Blaisdell. I had the privilege of being at the bus, at the trolley, when the people got off the trolley. And you've never seen such a happy bunch of people. I don't know what they did on the bus, but they got off the bus. They got off that bus and they said they had never had so much fun, they had never had more fun, and they had never learned so much about our town. That's another thing. Our ambassadors have put a great deal of time in studying about our town and contributing in that way too. But now, I know that they do more than just make everybody feel welcome, because I found out that they can sing. And a lot of you didn't know that. So tonight, they're prepared to sing a song. They're going to sing a song from a 1943 movie. So that's going to take some of us back a bit there. It's called The Gang's All Here. And Benny Goodman, his orchestra, played this song and sang it, and then Carmen Miranda sang it also. And so I want y'all just to sit back and enjoy the ambassadors tonight with their song.
Somebody got a key harp.
Paducah, Paducah, if you want it, you can rhyme it with bazooka. But you can't poo-poo Paducah, it's another name for paradise. Paducah, Paducah, just a pretty little city in Kentucky. But your name, it rhymes with lucky, when I look into your two blue eyes. Dogwood time, we go excited over Dogwood time. And I'm delighted over Dogwood time, because I happen to love a resident of Paducah, Paducah. If you want me, you can rhyme me with bazooka. But you can't poo-poo Paducah, it's another name for paradise.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, you're on.
Okay. Thank you, ambassadors.
That was great.
Okay, we ready for the awards? First off, thank you,
We are
Mayor Bray
ready.
and the City Commission for letting us come tonight and attend your meeting to give the awards.
Just real quick, we have this.
Okay, okay. So just, I mean, I was in awe of the spring season this year, as I think everyone probably was. It was absolutely beautiful. And what a great time for our 60th anniversary of the Dogwood Trail. So thank you to everyone who took the time to not only make sure your yards were pristine for the Dogwood Trail, but for lighting up your dogwood trees, your azaleas, your Japanese maples, and other beautiful flowers and shrubs. I truly don't think I can recall a dogwood season more beautiful than this year. Maybe it's because I'm involved in it, I don't know, but I thought it was really pretty. And I can't help but think that our beloved Mary Hammond, who we're dedicating this Dogwood Trail to, might have been bending someone's ear and saying, let's make this extra special this year for Paducah. So with that, we will get to our awards. And when I call your name, if you will, come up and we have a little award over here for you, and then I have a certificate, and then stand in the center if you don't mind, and we're going to get a picture with Mayor Bray and the commissioners after everyone gets their award. So to start out, we had 3 special awards this year. And if you drove down West Jefferson during the Dogwood Trail, I'm sure the gorgeous dogwood tree at 3400 West Jefferson Street caught your eye. This tree received the Dolly McNutt Award and is at the home of Tom and Liz Kohler. And you can please come up and get your award. And next on our list, there was not a prettier baby dogwood on the trail than the one belonging to Kenny and Bonnie Martin at 1744 Jefferson Street. So Kenny and Bonnie, come up and get your award, please. Next, we had Patrick Weeks, Nicholas Weeks, and Hershey, who showed off their gorgeous tree at 4160 Rustic Avenue. Please come up and get your award. You're here? Not here? Okay, let's move on down. Jeff and Sue Ellen Johnson displayed another beautiful blooming dogwood tree at 635 Woodland Drive. So please come up and get your award. Got this somewhere in here.
Campaign here. We had an award from the 50th hanging in our front hall. Now we got one from the 60th, and we planted 10 baby dogwoods for the 7th.
Actually, I skipped over one of the special awards. I'm sorry. Laura and Charlotte Bray, if you're here, they received the Dogwood Door Award for their beautifully decorated front door of their home at 314 Wallace Lane. So please come up and get your award. Here.
I'll take their award.
Okay, okay. I wondered if there was a relation there. Next, we have Charlie and Gail Ransler. They had a beautiful dogwood tree displayed at their home at 2830 Broadway, so please come up and get your award. Not here? Okay. Next, we have Justin and Hope Emmons, who also displayed another beautiful dogwood tree at their home at 2614 Jefferson Street. And next, we did the Weeks, right? They weren't here. Okay. Next, we have the next award goes to the beautiful dogwood tree that shadows Forest Circle and enhances the iconic Forestville home located at 3246 Forest Circle, which is owned by John Park and Matthew Turley. Gentlemen, please come accept your award. Congratulations. And Mr. Denny Roof had the most spectacular lighted display of his gorgeous pink dogwood with azaleas and hostas at his home at 226 Wallace Lane. Well, come on up, Denny. And our last on-trail award certainly stood out at 4405 Buckner Lane and belongs to Dorothy Barnard and Megan Westerfield. Ladies, please come accept your award. You're here? Not here? Okay. And we have 2 off-trail awards for the Dogwood Trail. The first award goes to the gorgeous dogwood tree located at 101 Deer Path Drive, and that is owned by Boone and Reagan Reed. Here you go, Boone. Here's yours. Congratulations. And our last award of the evening goes to Robert and Pat Hobbs for their spectacular dogwood tree located at 661 Whitney Drive. Please come up and accept your award. Here. No? Not here? Oh, well. Some people just couldn't make it. And congratulations to all the Dogwood Trail winners, and thank you so much for taking the time to make Paducah a more beautiful place for all of us to live. And we're going to get some pictures. Do y'all want to stand up and be in the picture? Let me get out of it. Congratulations.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Right there. Somebody.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have Taylor Morshing, who is going to introduce us to some new employees.
All right, well, thank you for having us here to introduce 2 key members of our recreation staff. We have Drake Stepter and Kennedy Kirks right here. Drake started working for us this April, filling one of our recreation specialist positions. His primary responsibilities will be serving the community with youth programs such as our summer camp, different classes, and youth sports leagues. He's a 2015 graduate from McCracken County High School. He attended Georgetown College on a golf scholarship, where he served as team captain for 3 years. He graduated with a degree in communication and media studies. He continues to play golf locally, and I'll note he's probably one of the better golfers in town. He's won the Irvin Cobb and the Kentucky Mid-Amateur, both in 2021.
Oh, wow.
He currently lives in Metropolis with his 2 pugs, Willie and Rocky, who were at the dog park ribbon cutting today. So we're excited to have Drake as part of the team. We also have Kennedy Kirks right here. She joined our department in spring of 2023, so she's been here about a year as a recreation specialist. She hosts and promotes a lot of our adult and youth sports leagues, as well as assisting with the operations of the Paducah Recreation Center and the Noble Park Pool. She is a certified lifeguard and one of our 2 full-time members on staff who are certified lifeguards. She's a 2018 graduate of McCracken County High School. She's earned her bachelor's in exercise and sports science in 2022, and just, I think, 2 weeks ago, she graduated with her master's degree in health and human performance from the University of the Cumberlands. She lives in Paducah and is the oldest of 5 siblings, and also brought a dog to the ribbon cutting ceremony today. So we're excited. Kennedy's been here a year, Drake just started, but they're both, key members of our recreation staff, and you will all see them out and about in the public with their different programs and events. So thank you.
Great, welcome Drake and Kennedy. Okay, we have 2 people here with public comments tonight. So I would invite Cheryl Sloboda up.
This person is way too tall.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Sloboda. I own a business downtown, in downtown Paducah at 117 North 4th Street. It's called Muppin's Sewing Emporium. We are a quilt and sewing business. As you can imagine, we've had a very good month with all of the quilters in town. We've been very excited. I was here at the beginning of the year, if you remember. And since I was last here, we've had a lot of many very amazing and successful events downtown. And we're all doing our part to make historic downtown Paducah vibrant for all the many thousands of visitors who come here. But it seems to me like we have two versions of downtown Paducah. We have what we all advertise as far as our tourism and our promotion, and those are the people who come and visit us and our amazing ambassadors who do such a great job of promoting our city. And then we have basically a different Paducah that happens after dark. And since I was here in January, the outdoor area of my business has been damaged. Bottles of alcohol have been left in our doorway. We've had urination in our doorway, and the noise issues have continued. And since we were here in January, I feel like the bars have taken this as a personal challenge to see if they could make things as busy or as loud as they can. We have been taking this to the Paducah Main Street merchant meetings, and that's how we have been addressing this issue, is through the Paducah Main Street board meetings and also the merchant meetings. Nick, our executive director, is now gone. And with that, we have now need to escalate how we bring this issue to the attention of the city. We want to remind you that Paducah Main Street has a beautiful website that enticed people like my husband and myself to relocate here from Chicago, Illinois. And it had many grants that were available not just for beautification, but also for relocation. There's relocation grants through Paducah Main Street for both businesses and for residential. And it was those in part of why we came here. And those of us who reside downtown would like to get what is advertised, which is this idyllic Main Street area, but that's not what we're getting at night. We keep hearing rumors as to what changes will happen, but we don't know. So we would like transparency with the downtown stakeholders so that we can know what's being planned to address these issues. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. John Barry?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. My name's John Barry. I still reside at 212 Broadway. I've had some time to look over the open records that we received from the city. I found 3 items on here that I wanted to bring to your attention. A 911 call came in from a city commissioner. The complaint that he heard a violin disturbing the peace at Hannon Plaza parking lot. He said they were breaking the noise ordinance in this call. The police go to Hannon Plaza. On their body cam, it clearly shows that the police tell the gentleman he's breaking the noise ordinance and he needs to knock it off. So the guy folds his stuff up and he leaves. That is a commercial area. Another 911 call came in from a neighbor complaining that a guy is playing music too loud in his garage. The police officer approaches the gentleman and tells him that he is breaking the noise ordinance and should not be able to be heard any sound from 50 feet from his garage. That was in a neighborhood, not a commercial area. Another 911 call comes in complaining of loud music. The police officer goes to the violator's door and tells him the music is too heavy and shouldn't be able to be heard from the middle of the street. Now you tell me why the police are being selective by enforcing noise ordinance in areas of the city but not downtown. We have called the police, I don't know how many times. They come down and tell us, or told me, the music is inaudible. And we're standing on the sidewalk listening to the music. But to them, it's inaudible. I don't know who's told them to enforce the law the way they are. When this all started, it was totally different. They had a totally different attitude about it. They were going to do something about it. This has been going on for like 18 months or so. Been a long time, probably longer than that. It's just it's damaging downtown Paducah. It really is. The late nights, nobody's down there at 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I am. I live across the street from part of it. If you come down there, which I know you won't because it's 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you will see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people roaming around. We live between the Silver Bullet and the Bully Gorilla Bar. Sometimes there's like, not exaggerating, 20, 25 people back there congregating around the dumpsters in that parking lot. I don't know what they're doing. They don't seem to bother anything. Sunday morning, this last Sunday morning at 2:30, sirens woke us up. So we get up and look around, look on our cameras. There's like 3 police cars, a fire engine, an ambulance. And I talked to the guy that owns the Silver Bullet. He said that a young lady, I don't know if she was young, old, or what, but a lady had OD'd. And somebody drug her over there and put her on one of their picnic tables. The bartender there went in and got some Narcan, gave her a shot. They hauled her to the hospital. I don't know if she's alive, dead. I've never heard or seen anything else about it. That was this last Sunday morning.
John, can you finish up, please?
Yes, I will. You called my wife in March and the 29th and told her that the city was going to change the noise ordinance. You told me actually the city was not enforcing the noise ordinance because there were so many ordinances on the books that you didn't enforce. You weren't going to enforce the noise ordinance. We just wonder where you stand on this deal. We have not asked for the noise ordinance to be changed. We have not asked for anything other than what the law says. 50 feet rule. That's all we want. The noise ordinance does not need to be changed as far as we're concerned. Some people may want it changed. We don't. 50 feet is a decent distance, which would be 50 feet from the front of their building, or from the source of the music, I think is what it actually says in the thing. So anyway, that's all I have to say, and I thank you very much for your time and would appreciate your consideration and some response to where we're going to be with this.
Yes, sir. Thank you, John. And thank you, Cheryl, for being here. So, the plan is to have a first reading of a new noise ordinance 2 weeks from tonight, and we haven't quite got it all finalized yet. We've been working through it. We have to share it with fellow commissioners. We have to make sure that everybody understands it. But probably first and foremost, we had to make sure that it was enforceable. With the current noise ordinance, we got advice, counsel, that it was not an enforceable ordinance. And so we had to make sure that the ordinance is enforceable. And so we are working on that, and The plan is to have it 2 weeks from tonight. And
Can I ask a question? I mean, why is the noise ordinance as it's written not enforced?
I think, I can't answer that because I think our county attorney has answered that. And I think, to my knowledge, I thought that in a meeting that you guys had that he went over that, but perhaps he didn't.
He told us he was going to enforce the noise ordinance. He told us.
Yeah, the guidance has been different from that, so.
I'm sorry? I didn't hear what you said.
I said the guidance from him has been different than that.
He did not tell us that.
That is not what he told us. It has changed from, we met with him twice, and it's changed from our first meeting, somewhere down the line. I don't know where he's get his information, but he's totally done a flip on it, so.
So that's where we are with it, as we sit here tonight. Okay?
May I just ask though, they're not the only ones with an issue. Like, the other stakeholders downtown, we don't know what's happening. So that issue aside, there are other issues downtown with noise and EDC and other compliance. So that's all that we wanted to bring to your attention as well.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We actually had a meeting with the Silent Brigade this last week. They were in. Those issues with them have been addressed. But I appreciate you bringing all of that to our attention.
Has there been any consideration of changing the legal drinking hours? I mean, 4 o'clock in the morning, if you're out at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, I think, is when the law expires for serving alcohol.
Our focus right now has been on the noise ordinance.
We were told that was up to the idea of changing it to 1 o'clock. We were told
We've had no discussions about that internally.
One of these meetings that had been
Main Street Board.
by the Main Street Board, yes. Nick told us that.
The Main Street Board wanted to suggest that, and we don't have anybody to suggest it this next week. Yes, but that's a proposed, that they want the 1 o'clock closing. Last call, 12:30, 1 o'clock closing. And I think you can do that in your Main Street area only. It's just a suggestion. I think it would stop a lot of the fighting and the stuff that's going on down there.
There are half-naked women at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's just, you need to go down and check it out on Saturday night. I'm just telling you.
And it sounds like it's being enforced. I mean, you said it's being enforced, but it's not being enforced in
No,
town.
it's not. I mean, I've been
In
down
the plaza.
several times. It's not,
Are you saying that this just happens the weekend, or is this something that happens every night?
Friday and Saturday.
It's Friday and Saturday.
The Silent Brigade.
It goes on every Friday and Saturday night.
Thursday,
Every
Friday, and Saturday night. But Friday and Saturday night are the workout.
Okay, thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. Okay, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will read the items recommended for approval unless any commissioner would like an item removed for separate discussion. So if not, I'll ask the city clerk to please read the items recommended for approval.
Approved minutes for the April 23rd, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting. Received and filed documents, personnel actions, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Jim Smith Contracting Company, LLC, in the amount of $133,193 for construction and repaving of the parking lot at Robert Cherry Civic Center. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Tennis Technologies Incorporated in the amount of $42,785 for tennis court resurfacing at Noble Park. A municipal order amending the City of Paducah, Kentucky Administrative Plan for 2024 Housing Choice Voucher Program effective May 1st, 2024, with said administrative plan including revisions to the utility allowances for the Section 8 housing program as required by the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as revised. A municipal order approving and authorizing the mayor to execute a deed of conveyance, permanent drainage easement fee consideration, and all other documents necessary with Daniel Jones to acquire a portion of real estate located at 2338 South 25th Street as a permanent drainage easement in consideration of $120 for the South 24th Street Improvement Project. A municipal order approving the termination of residential infill agreement between the City of Paducah, Kentucky and EMD Properties LLC for LeBerry subdivision, and authorizing the mayor to execute said termination and all documents related to same. A municipal order approving a residential infill agreement between the City of Paducah, Kentucky and Willett Enterprises Incorporated for LeBerry subdivision, and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement and all documents related to same. A municipal order accepting the proposal of Kemper CPA Group LLP for professional services related to the preparation of the city's comprehensive annual financial reports for fiscal years ending June 30th, 2024, 2025, and 2026, in an amount not to exceed $189,000, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Guest?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So we have two municipal orders tonight. The first one is for an assault boat for the Paducah Fire Department to be utilized on the river, and I'd ask Chief Kyle to come tell us about it.
Clerk, read it first.
Oh, I'll ask the clerk to read it first.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Lake Assault Boats Incorporated through the U.S. General Services Administration for the purchase of a multipurpose fire and rescue boat for the Paducah Fire Department in the amount of $697,600.
So moved.
Second.
Chief?
All right, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. This has been a little bit of a process. As you might recall, I'll walk you back through it. May of last year, you all authorized us by municipal order to apply for the port security grant for this boat. In September of last year, you were able to accept the grant where we were awarded and selected, and we brought it back for you to accept at that time. And now we have done our due diligence on the bidding and all of that process to go through procurement. We are coming before you tonight to actually procure the boat. As the clerk mentioned, we are going through the General Services Administration contract, and for the contract price that's listed on your packet that you have there before you. So with that, I'll entertain any questions that you have.
Yeah, so just tell us the total price of the boat, what the match is. I mean, just go over that for us all again so we're familiar. Was it 75? 75?
It's a 75-25 split. That's the way the port security grants for this level of funds. For us, it's for the grant award, it's $543,750, and our match is $181,250.
Okay.
Chief, this is not the first time you've applied for that grant, right?
No, it's I think it's the second or third time. I can't remember now. We're thrilled to have finally been able to receive it. We lost the fire barge in 2019. We have a small boat that we use that's only really safe to get on the water with when it's calm and sunny and not doing anything, which is rarely the time that we need to be on the water. Most of the time when we have to go out, it's high water events or rough water events where recreational boaters have had problems, or we've got somebody overboard, or we've got a jumper from the bridge. You know, those are the types of events that we're typically responding to. And then the not so rare occurrences that still occur are releases into the river, you know, from some type of event. We had a cumene barge here a few years ago that released product into the river, so we were actually up for a couple of days with that hazardous materials event. So those are the types of events that we see on a regular basis, that we're responding to on the river.
Okay. I was just going to invite anybody to have discussion, so,
Okay.
so why don't you just go on and have some discussion?
Okay, well, I think there is maybe a misperception out there that it's only used for river industry, and that they're not needing it. So you're actually talking about it is used for people that are in the river on their boats that need assistance.
Oh, yes.
People that
We-
jumped
we
off the
support,
bridges. I just
all
wanna
of the
emphasize
water
that.
events that we have that launch at the foot of Broadway throughout the year. There's a lot of those. Dragon Boat. Thank you. You knew exactly where I was going. The Dragon Boat Festival is one of those activities. There's been the ice water challenge, ice bucket challenge. There's been the folks that want to swim across the river and back. There's a new thing that Hoopers has had going on down there that we've been supporting off and on. That's kayaking events. So our fireworks events, we're out there for that. So all of our festival activities that go on the river, we're out there supporting those throughout the year as well. It's not just the river industry. We have lots of river traffic, and then we've got projects ongoing that are going to increase that river traffic with the build grant. We've got the dock that's down there now that we have boats come in every year. We've had fires down there before, so we've got lots of activity on the water, and this just gives us the tool in our toolbox that I hope we don't ever have to use, but we're going to throughout the year.
And
We know
ports-
there'll be
Port
those
security that you're getting it through, is that a federal DOT?
It is a federal grant. The inland marine security plan that's developed by the Coast Guard, we're the tier 1 asset that responds to that. That really doesn't have the equipment to do it. Okay, we're listed in the marine security plan for the Port of Paducah zone. And they depend on us to make that response. That's why they're supporting us with grant funds to have the asset in place to make those types of responses in support of the transportation security industry piece of this. So it's the river traffic that we have that goes to transportation, it's the recreational things, and it's just the odd things that go on with the jumpers from the bridge and other things like that we're responding out there to support.
So this kills the perception then, that this boat will just be sitting to the side, but it's gonna always be in service in some way.
It's there
Yeah.
if it's
Yeah,
needed,
It's
yeah.
there if it's needed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll not just, it won't just sit. We'll
But I
train with
think that
it
is-
and be out on the
I think that is the
river.
perception, is that, this boat's gonna cost all this money, and we're just gonna use it a few times a year, and
So
that's it.
thank you for the information
Well-
on how much it could be used.
Right.
Right.
And the fact I know that y'all have done a lot of homework on it, and you've had one in the past. I guess I'm just saying, I think it's great that we have it. If we need it, I hope we don't need it, but I would rather have it and not need
There
it.
you go.
This will be the most agile asset that we've ever had in relating to our water response. Previously, we had a flat top barge that the river industry did support us with, but it was not a fast attack or response kind of vessel. It depended on a towboat to be pushed up to it and move us to where we needed to go. And it was really strictly for firefighting for a large scale event. This gives us rescue capability and firefighting capability. We can go in any direction. It is a response type of vehicle that can be deployed very quickly and respond on the water very quickly as well.
Okay, any other
Thank you.
discussion?
No, thank you for explaining it.
Thank you for the
And
question. I appreciate the
remember
opportunity.
That 75% of it is paid by a grant.
Federal
That
funds.
the city got it, so
That's
thank you for
correct.
applying for it as well.
Thank you.
And Chief, the longevity of this vehicle?
20 plus years.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
We'll have a ribbon cutting when it comes in, okay?
We most assuredly will.
Christen it, yeah.
Your tax dollars at work.
That's right.
Thank you.
So, both federally and locally.
That's right.
In order to protect this community, on the river. So, Thank you. I'll ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, if you would please read the second municipal order.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Finance Director to Pay Clean Earth Incorporated in an Amount of $46,217.70 for the disposal of household hazardous waste and electronic waste collected during the City-County 2024 Cleanup Day."
So moved.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. How are you all?
Good.
This won't be as exciting as a vote, but
Oh, try.
it's necessary.
Jazz it up.
As you know, in my opinion, and what I strive to do, Public Works, is specifically the Solid Waste Division, we want to keep the city as clean as possible. And Cleanup Day is an intricate part to that. Just to give you a few numbers, there was a total of 746 vehicles to come through the cleanup event this year. 56% was county, 44% were city residents. The grant we received was around $40,000. The county received additional grant in the amount of $4,000. So after all fees and expenses, taking consideration of grants, the city and county will split about $18,000. $18,000 each for the event, which I think is a pretty good deal for what we're doing. There was 192,000, or excuse me, I wish there was 192,000. There was 192 tons of trash, 13.5 tons of tires, and thousands of pounds of fire extinguishers, lithium batteries, consumer electronics, computer screens, household hazardous waste. Part of this, that's what the grant is for. Any type of chemicals that people have that are expired. We also had the county participate, and they accept ammunition and expired prescriptions and things like that. So it's really a big deal. And we do it for the day on Saturday, and we think it's a very important part of what service we provide to the community. So this is just one part of that. The household hazardous waste, these folks are the ones that take all the electronics and chemicals and dispose of those properly.
So how did this year compare? I mean, do you keep track of it year by year in terms
I knew
of?
you were going to ask that, but for some reason I didn't bring the information. I can get
Chris,
that to I can get to it's as far as percentage, city and county, it's about the same every year, and the total numbers is about the same. The only difference this year, it seemed like instead of it being extremely busy at the first part and then slow throughout the day, it was extremely busy the entire time. People just appeared to be more stuff. But I would love to get the comparison out to you from last year to this year, and I'll send that to the general government. They can get that to you.
Great. Questions? Anybody? We good?
Good.
Okay, I'll ask the city clerk to call roll, please.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
Thank you, Chris.
So we have two ordinances to adopt. We read them previously. I'll ask the city clerk to please read the first one.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Providing for the Closing of 24,710 Square Feet of Colonial Drive and 38,302 Square Feet of Deer Lick Place at 3750 Pecan Drive and 600, 601, and 675 Deer Lick Place, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah does hereby authorize the closure of 24,710 square feet of Colonial Drive and 38,302 square feet of Deer Lick Place at 3750 Pecan Drive and 600, 601, and 675 Deer Lick Place, and authorizes, empowers, and directs the mayor to execute quitclaim deeds for the City of Paducah to the property owners in or abutting the public way to be closed, and all other necessary documents to effectuate the closure.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And I'll ask the city clerk to read the second ordinance we are adopting tonight.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Amending Ordinance Number 2019-06-8578 entitled An Ordinance Adopting the City of Paducah Annual Operating Budget for Fiscal Year July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. This ordinance is summarized as follows: that the annual budget for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2020 as adopted by ordinance number 2019-06-8578 is amended to withdraw the commitment of $250,000 from committed pension reserve in the fund balance. Further, this ordinance withdraws the commitment of committed pension reserve in the fund balances of the general fund and investment fund in the amount of $243,165 and $177,200 respectively. Further, ordinance number 2019-06-8579 is hereby amended by the following reappropriations. Transfer $670,365 from general fund balance to project account EQ 0036.
So moved.
Second.
City Manager, you want to just remind us what this ordinance was?
Yes, Mayor, Commission, in relationship to our enhancement of 911 and a rebuilding of that system, there is a need to purchase new radios to operate on the system. And through due diligence on the part of our finance team, without us having to come up with new funds and try to figure out how to pay for that going forward, there was a realization that several years ago, previous commission had set aside some funds in anticipation of a major spike in obligation from the commission in relationship to an obligation to pay into the retirement system. Fortunately, a revision at the state level of the retirement system did not realize the large spike that was anticipated, and so those funds that had been set aside were not needed, and we're reallocating those to purchase these radios.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions or thoughts? Okay. I'll ask the city clerk to call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So we have 3 ordinances to introduce tonight, and I'll ask the city clerk to read the first one.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Providing for the Closure of 2 10-foot alleys west of 24th Street between Center Street and Site Street, and between Site Street and Barnett Street, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to the same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah does hereby authorize the closure of 2,826 square feet of a 10-foot alley west of South 24th Street between Center Street and Site Street, and closing of 4,046 square feet of a 10-foot alley west of South 24th Street between Site Street and Barnett Street, and authorizes, empowers, and directs the mayor to execute quitclaim deeds from the City of Paducah to property owners in or abutting the public way to be closed, and all other necessary documents to effectuate the closure.
So moved.
Second.
Melanie, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. Seems to be my new role is posting city right-of-ways, so we're going to work on some more of them. Lindsay's pulled up the plat here. It is actually 2 alleyways that are within our property. So we are out on South 24th Street, south of Brooks Stadium, south of South 25th Street. So this is part of the larger 24th, 25th Street improvement project that we're working on. This is going to, or it is now, if you drive out that way, it is a retention basin. So we have cleaned it all off. We've used all the appropriate stormwater prevention measures while we were cleaning our lot off. And now we're just going to make it into one large project, pond, one large lot, parcel. That's the word I'm looking for. So, is questions? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. We're just going to give ourselves more land.
Yeah. No questions here? We all good? Okay. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it, Melanie. I'll ask the city clerk to read the second ordinance we're introducing tonight.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Establishing Section 126-88, Reasonable Accommodation for Recovery Homes of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance approves the addition of Paducah Code of Ordinances, Section 126-88, entitled Reasonable Accommodations for Recovery Homes. This section is being established to provide a streamlined approach for the approval of recovery homes while protecting the rights of people with disabilities and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. This zoning text amendment was heard by the Paducah Planning Commission on May 6, 2024, and forwarded to the City Commission with a recommendation for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Josh?
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor, City Manager, City Clerk. Over the past couple of years, we've never had a streamlined way to approve or deny recovery homes within the City of Paducah, and those requests have been more and more common here of late. So what we've done is we've adopted an ordinance that is based on Bellevue, Kentucky, which is in the northern part of the state as far as how it relates to the KRS. And what we've done is we've added into that elements of ordinances from Phoenix, Arizona, and Costa Mesa, California, because their reasonable accommodation ordinances have been heavily litigated. And we wanted to incorporate their successes and shy away from any type of challenges and failures that they may have had. We're also incorporating elements of what the United States Supreme Court has said that Oxford houses can and cannot do. And Oxford houses have been litigated coast to coast. So we want to make sure that we are in line with what the Supreme Court has already said that they can do and what they cannot do. So by July 1st of this year, every recovery home in the Commonwealth has to be in the process of being certified by a certifying organization and with the Cabinet, which is the Cabinet for Health and Human Services. The specific certifying organizations is the Kentucky Recovery Housing Network, and you'll hear me refer to that as the KRHN, the National Alliance for Recovery Residences, Oxford House Incorporated, and any other type of organization that has standards for the operation of recovery homes that's approved by the Cabinet. And when I say reasonable accommodation, I just want to make clear what we're talking about for this body and the general public, that it's the act of making a dwelling unit or housing facility readily accessible to and usable by a person with disabilities through the removal of constraints in the city's land use, zoning, permit, and processing procedures. All requested or proposed accommodations may not be reasonable, and the reasonableness of a request will be determined by the city, and that is specifically going to be by the planning director. In order to apply for reasonable accommodation, we will have hard copies of applications in the planning department. It will also be available online through our InterGov portal. And when they go in to apply, there's a laundry list of information that we're going to be asking for, which will relate to the nature of how these homes are going to be conducted, who's going to be running them, and things such as that. We're also going to be asking for any type of lease agreements that they have if the property owner and operator is not the same, a detailed description of the requested accommodation, a copy of their rules and regulations, and a copy of their certification from the certifying organization, most likely the KRHN. Upon receipt of that, the planning director will look at the grounds for approving based on several factors. And a few of those that I would like to mention specifically is the potential benefit that can be accomplished by the requested modification, potential impacts on property in the vicinity, and that includes things like lighting, traffic, noise, those sorts of other land uses that may have nuisance potential. The physical attributes of the property, whether it would be an undue financial or administrative burden on the city, would require a fundamental alteration in the nature of a city function or service, which would be, for example, increased police patrols, extra garbage pickup, those sort of things, and whether it's consistent with the City of Paducah comprehensive plan. For our text amendment, we're proposing a distance of 650 feet between recovery homes, and that's not really a magic number. That is a standard number that has been utilized coast to coast for communities that have reasonable accommodation ordinances, and that's from property line to property line. Upon receipt of finding that it's outside of 650 feet and looking at the information received, the planning director can grant with modifications, or deny a request for a reasonable accommodation. The other required findings is that they do have to be certified with the certifying organization or in the process of being certified. And a recovery house does have to be in good standing with the cabinet for Health and Family Services. Other things which kind of parrot what I had mentioned before is if it would be an undue financial burden on the city, if it would require an alteration in the city's codes, programs, zoning ordinances, if it will fundamentally alter the neighborhood due to noise, lighting, parking, traffic, and other factors which is deemed appropriate at the discretion of the planning director. If the supply of facilities of a similar nature is already sufficient, and whether the applicant has previously had reasonable accommodation revoked or suspended or denied. The planning director can issue a temporary permit to recovery homes, which is basically from the point where they apply to the certifying organization till they get that answer from that organization. If the factors based on the findings of fact that they submit to the planning director weigh in favor of granting a final permit, then the temporary permit can be granted up until the time as which the certifying organization has that answer from the state if they're going to be approved or denied. And in the event that they are denied at the state level, we will deny them at the local level. The planning director will make a written decision on the request, which will be finalized and forwarded to the applicant. Upon final approval of the final permit, there's a few things that we will need, including proof of their liability insurance coverage, which is $300,000 per person and $1 million per occurrence. They do have to have a good neighbor policy, and their parking does have to be on an improved surface instead of in yards, on gravel, things like that. The operator does have to screen their occupants, and they do have to comply with the applicable codes, which is the building code, fire code, electric code, nuisance code. Everything else that would come into play with a regular single-family home would come into play with a recovery home. Any changes or updates that they make have to be forwarded to us within 30 days. Any changes in their certification has to be forwarded to us in 7 days. And their updated and renewed proof of insurance, certification, and registry has to be resubmitted to us by April 15th of every year. Now with that, I would like to provide the answers to a few questions that you all may have, and also for the public as well. And the first one of those is probably what's on everybody's mind is if the state approves a reasonable accommodation, do we automatically have to? And that answer is no, because we are giving the planning director a localized discretionary review where based on the factors contained in the application we get, it can be denied even if the state approves it. How does the building code apply? And as I mentioned, that's the same as any other single-family home in the city of Paducah. For example, if a dining room or other type of room not normally used as a bedroom is converted and they need a window for egress, then they still have to get a building permit for that, just like any other house in the city of Paducah. And can a recovery home continue in perpetuity? They can, provided that their reasonable accommodation is not revoked and they continue to provide to us their information by April 15th of every year. And how long will it take to know if a recovery home is approved by the cabinet? That answer's somewhat elusive at this point. And reason being, there's a two-person crew running the KHRN up in Frankfort. And it's going to take some time, based on the new direction from the General Assembly, for every recovery home across the Commonwealth, city staff, the Commonwealth itself, to really get in that mode and circular fashion of applications being approved or denied, and how that's disseminated to the local municipalities. So we expect some growth pains with that, but we will work through that. How will staff be informed of serious or repeated violations at a specific recovery home? We intend to work with both the fire chief and police chief closely on this. What I envision is that every 6 months or so to send a list of our known recovery homes and their addresses to the chiefs and ask if there's been any arrests, violations of any sort, and get that feedback. And if there's been a continued repeated violation at a specific recovery home, that could be grounds to revoke the reasonable accommodation. Will we notify the certifying organization or the cabinet? If we deny, suspend, or revoke, we certainly will. In fact, I'm already in contact with Jonathan Philpott. He is the director at KRHN right now. We've opened those lines of communication so that we know who immediately to get a hold of at the state and local level. And the last question you all may have is that if you see a recovery home that's in operation without being certified, how does that happen? Under the new state guidance, whenever the cabinet comes down to do a site visit, the occupants have to be living there. They have to be in the environment that will continue to happen after they get their final permit. So that's how people can be living there and still not be certified at that point. It's a part of that certification process from the state. I know that's a lot, but I will be glad to answer any questions you all may have.
If any of the recovery homes violate any of your policies, is there an appeal process? Do they have an opportunity to say?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. That goes to the Board of Adjustment, and that is with any type of zoning question that is appealed. It goes to them by KRS.
So the recovery homes that we already have in operation, all of what you read, those policies really don't mean anything to them. Are they grandfathered in? How do we?
That is correct. They are grandfathered in. They will receive the recovery homes that do not have a certificate from the state at this point will be granted a temporary permit. Some already do have their certification from the state at this point. But they will be allowed to continue until their certification is revoked or they choose not to be a recovery home on their own accord.
And so I guess I would assume that no recovery home would be granted a permit unless and or until all of these things you mentioned are in place first, as opposed to
new ones.
The new ones.
Yes.
The new ones.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. So anybody that's in operation now, as long as they get their state application, they do not have to fall under our guidelines at all?
That's correct. They do as far as their notification requirements by April 15th of every year. They still have to submit to us the same as any new or existing recovery home, which is their licensure, their certification, and their insurance every year by April 15th.
They would not have to meet the 650-foot requirement.
Yeah, I understand that, but is that but what else don't they have to meet?
Well, that,
They have to meet everything to make them eligible under the state.
Yeah.
And be certified.
Yes,
Okay, I'm a little hazy. So you said, so our certification process, is dependent upon the state certification process.
Yes.
For new recovery homes or for Explain the difference to me between somebody who's already in operation and somebody who's brand new applying.
Sure. Existing recovery homes have to be in the process of being certified by July 1st of this year. Any new recovery homes that are coming online have to apply with the state at any given time from this point out to get their certification to begin that process.
So previously, there wasn't a state certification, and so those that came in and had been in operation didn't have to have that state certification. Going forward, now that the state is requiring certification, to stay in good standing, they have to they have to do everything that the state requires to be certified. Plus what we're saying is part of our responsibility for them to submit to the planning department their certification and meet those deadlines.
Right.
The one area that doesn't come into play for an existing one is that 650. Now, if an existing one, correct me if I'm wrong, if an existing recovery home falls out of favor with the state or out of our local, if they have the issues where we have noncompliance and things like that, then they would no longer be grandfathered in, and then they would have to cease, and then they would have to fall into the new guidelines of the 650.
Correct.
So if you have one, say, that's side by side, one of them falls out of favor, it's no longer certified, they are no longer grandfathered in, and they could not go back and operate in that location.
Correct.
They would have to be 650 feet away from an existing one.
That is correct.
Okay.
I help explain that a little bit better?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I'm,
That's a pretty stiff penalty to make them want to stay in compliance.
Right.
right. So you said the planning director would go out and visit.
No, the state does that.
The state does. So our
Yeah.
planning director really kind of just depends on the state inspection and.
I would say that, yes, we would make a site visit ourselves that's how we're going to gather our findings of fact to know if we're going to approve the reasonable accommodation locally.
Okay. But we only do that with new situations, not with the old ones, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
But we would also have conversations, cross-departmental conversations to understand that if there is X number of calls by the police department, if there's.
Side of Kentucky.
Correct.
In order to try to establish up front some sort of best practice.
Yes, the city of Bellevue not only adopted theirs, but other municipalities in northern Kentucky. Fort Wright, I think, was one of them, but there's 4 or 5 that adopted the same ordinance, and they did it kind of as an umbrella ordinance with those organizations.
Okay, no more questions from me. Everybody else good?
Thank you all.
All right, thanks for being here, Josh. Okay, the next ordinance that we're going to introduce is one that's been long awaited. A lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and pain have gone into this, and that is the first reading of our 911 ordinance. And I'll let the city clerk please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, approving and authorizing the execution of an interlocal cooperative agreement between the City of Paducah, Kentucky and the County of McCracken, Kentucky for the provision of 911 services. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance authorizes the mayor to execute an interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of Paducah, Kentucky and the County of McCracken, Kentucky for the provision of 911 services to be served jointly by both public agencies.
So moved.
Second.
City manager?
Long awaited? That's right. Model, where right now the county and other entities are customers of the city. This would move away from that to where we have a joint partnership in relationship. This model, this ordinance as adopted or as presented for adoption, still provides the management and oversight by our police department. There are certain rules and regulations that, and I'll use the county's language that they used last night. I don't know if you had a chance to watch their their discuss, high-level broad brushes of where we are tonight. I don't know, Mayor, Chief, if you want to.
Well, I'll just, I mean, we've been working on this for a long time, and over the last, I would say since the first of the year in earnest, we've had multiple meetings with the county, working through this agreement. There's been a number of language changes. One of the things that I said up front, currently as city manager referred to, we're now in a client service relationship with the county, and really we're going into a full partnership. And I recognized that in order for us to go into a full partnership, the county, through the board and other means, had to have equal say-so in the way we move forward. By law, there has to be a police officer. I don't know if that's the right term, but they're a law enforcement officer, of which there are 3 that are eligible. That's the police chief, the sheriff, and the county attorney, who must be in charge of 911. And the city, under the leadership of the police chief, has been running 911 very effectively and very efficiently for some time. And so the proposal here is that, we move forward with the city and the police chief driving the 911 going forward. And I think the county's raised some issues about what does that really mean, about certain elements of what that means. Does that give them enough say-so? To use my earlier terminology. I think we've done, there's been a lot of language changes to make sure that the county was comfortable. And the judge and I, along with the city manager and the deputy judge executive, have agreed on a final product. Last night the county talked about that. There's at least one commissioner that raised questions about the language. I think I'm confident that we can work through that, those language issues. There are certain things we can do, certain things we can't under the law. So we have a really good situation. We're in the process of moving forward with an upgraded 911 system. We'll work through, the county's got some questions. We'll work through that in the next couple of weeks and hopefully get this solved so we can move forward. So, any questions from anybody? Okay. That's it from my perspective. So we'll move on. The next item on the agenda is a discussion item on medical cannabis. And I'll turn that over to our city clerk to let her walk us through a presentation on medical cannabis, and then we can all chip in or weigh in.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight I'm going to give a high-level overview of where we're at from the state perspective and what options there are available for local governments, and kind of what direction we need from the City Commission to take the next steps. So in March of 2023, the governor signed into law Senate Bill 47. This basically says that as of January 1st, 2025, individuals can receive medical cannabis cards from the Cabinet of Health. The types of medical cannabis products that will be allowed after January 1st of next year are edibles, oils, vapes, and raw plant material. The cost of a medical cannabis card is about $25 per individual with an annual renewal of $25. The Senate bill also prohibited consuming raw plant material by smoking it. So though you can buy raw plant material, it's not available for smoking that material. And to be eligible, someone would have to be a resident of Kentucky, either 18 years old or older, or be in, or have a caregiver that is associated with their medical cannabis card. They cannot have been convicted of a disqualifying felony. They have to have a written medical practitioner certification that says that they have a qualifying condition in order to participate. Right now, there are 5 qualifying medical conditions. Those are any form of cancer, regardless of stage, chronic or debilitating pain, epilepsy, and seizures, multiple sclerosis, muscle spasms, chronic nausea, PTSD, and then any other that the Kentucky Center for Cannabis determines. There is a Senate bill pending. If it does pass, it would add 14 additional qualifying conditions to that list, but as of right now, that's been referred to committee. Kentucky cannot import cannabis from other states, so that means that in order to effectuate this in January of next year, we have to establish a system whereby cannabis can be grown, produced, tested, and sold here in Kentucky, all locally. There are several different types of licenses for different medical cannabis businesses that the state has developed. The first is a cultivator. They are in charge of planting, raising, and harvesting cannabis. Processors are in charge of processing and packaging raw plant materials. And then a producer is kind of a two-part license. It combines the cultivator and the processor license. There's a safety compliance facility. They do contamination testing for raw plant materials and different products. And then, of course, there are the dispensaries. They are in charge of the sale of the products to the cardholders. State law also has a lot of regulations that they have put in place that cannabis businesses will have to comply with. Those include security, record keeping, quality assurance, background checks, facility requirements, inventory management, anti-fraud procedures. So there are a lot of different things that each business will have to comply with in order to be a candidate and have a successful application to become a registered business. So the state, on April 18th, the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, they filed regulation around how they can become licensed in Kentucky. Those regulations took effect immediately, and businesses can begin applying as of July 1st of this year. So kind of a short time frame there. And then the initial application period is just going to be from July 1st through August 31st of this year, where they're going to be accepting online applications from anyone who wants to have a medical cannabis business. There's a lot of required documentation that has to go into them applying for that. That includes the location of the proposed business, a site plan, a contingency agreement, deed or lease, and then a timeline for when their operations will be up and running. So at this point, we are starting to get inquiries from businesses about, what is going to be authorized in Paducah, knowing that they can start applying on July 1st. So there is a limited availability on certain licenses from the state. You can see on this slide exactly how many licenses will be available based on this first initial application period. So 48 dispensaries, 16 different types of cultivator licenses, 10 processor licenses. Producer category and the Tier 4 cultivator will not be issued during this initial application period. The fees for these vary for the state from anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000 for application for a non-refundable fee for those applications, with dispensaries being about $5,000 to apply. So basically, the state has broken everything down into regions. So McCracken County is part of Region 8, and there are only going to be allowed 4 dispensary licenses per region. That region that we are in is along with Ballard, Callaway, Carlisle, Crittenden, Fulton, Graves, Hickman, Livingston, and Marshall County. So there are only 4 dispensary licenses that will be approved for that region as a whole. And there cannot be any more than 1 dispensary per county. And if the number of applications exceeds the number of available licenses that the state is giving out, they will go to what is like a lottery type system, where they will take all potential applications that meet the criteria and do a lottery for which ones will be issued. Beginning January 1st, they are going to start doing quarterly reviews to determine if there is further licensing that is needed. So they have that initial application period from July to August, and then they will not review that again until January of next year for additional licensing. So local jurisdictions have some options, 3 specific options that we can pursue. First of all, the city can pass an ordinance to regulate the time, place, and manner of the cannabis business operations. The ordinance just can't impose an undue burden so that it would be unreasonable for them to operate entirely. There are definitely local fees that we could assess as part of that. Those are going to be fees that would be related to the actual cost associated with them doing business in the territory. So the policing and anything around that. This isn't necessarily a regulatory fee in that that it doesn't have the same kind of requirements that there would be under like alcohol regulatory fees, and it's not based on the size of the jurisdiction. So it's not limited based on your population. And it is also not subject to denial by the state. So we could set some local fees associated with this. Additionally, there's going to be zoning considerations of where these different types of businesses can locate in the city of Paducah. If we wanted to allow them, we would need to work with the planning department and the city attorney to determine exactly what those zoning regulations would be. On a general level, cannabis businesses cannot be located within 1,000 feet of any school or daycare center. And then we can set additional regulations for zoning locally in addition to that. The second option that is available to local jurisdictions is to pass an ordinance to prohibit all cannabis business operations. So that could be set by the city commission after 2 readings. The only thing really to note about that is it could be brought to a vote by petition of the public, and that could be overturned at the next regular election. And then the third is the city commission could enact a resolution that the question just be submitted to the voters at the next regular election to decide. So as far as next steps, what we are looking for is direction from the commission on which option you would like staff to pursue or give more information about. If the option you want to pursue is setting time, place, manner, and allowing cannabis businesses to be in Paducah, there's a pretty short time frame to get that kind of turned around, since businesses will start applying in July. But that would probably be a zoning amendment, a license fee setting potentially, and potentially a resolution proactively saying that you are in favor of it.
So you said businesses plural, and really there's only going to be 1 in the county.
There can only be 1 dispensary. Now, some of the other types of businesses, you could have more than 1.
Oh, okay.
You could have more, but just dispensaries are.
That was my question.
But there's not that many of those that are going to be licensed.
Correct.
I mean,
Yes,
that's a smaller number,
statewide.
so.
Right.
Okay.
We have had about 7 different businesses or those who represent those businesses already reach out for more information from the city.
Lindsay, on those that reached out, were those related to just dispensary, or was it all, or did they?
Mainly
venture?
dispensaries, mainly.
The one that reached out to me was talking about the possibility of doing something else as well. Was kind of asking questions, that led me to believe that the company would, entertain maybe a growing operation, so.
Will you go back to, at the very beginning, I think I missed it, when you said how it would be sold in pills? There were different categories.
Yeah, so the different categories that can be sold in Kentucky as of January 1st are edibles, oils, vapes, raw plant material. But the raw plant material is not being sold in order to be smoked.
So.
So how do you absorb that? I mean, how do you just take the raw?
Material and I assume create something else from it is my understanding. I don't know for sure, but it is legal to sell, but I don't know exactly.
So one concern someone expressed to me was people would be standing outside of it smoking, and it would cause a lot of smell. So technically, they can't do that. They couldn't.
Right, no, they cannot do that.
So it's more like the term's dispensary. I kind of said visualize it as a pharmacy in a way, but that's what they would be going in.
You also can't consume any of the medical cannabis at the dispensary locations.
On site.
On
Okay.
site. Mhm.
Okay.
So we have 3 options. One of our commissioners has stepped out. I don't want him to miss this conversation. But we have 3 options. We can either disallow it, suggest that put it on the ballot, let people vote for it, or decide to approve it and regulate it in our own manner through planning and zoning. And so that's the discussion point that we all need to think about. And like Lindsay said, if we are going to allow it, we need to move quickly because licenses are going to start being applied for July 1st.
From what I read, it looked like they were trying to go to population where areas would be served by the most population. So in this district, there will only be 2, correct? Like covering from Murray over. So as the largest city in that area, it seems to me like it would make the most sense for Paducah to have one because our population would be the largest in Paducah.
The thought, I believe, behind dividing it up that way was so that people could access it, so that it's not all grouped together in one place, but also that there is access for a region, likely in the biggest hub.
In my reading, it says that there are some states that actually allow or will allow individuals to carry so many ounces on their person. And it says that obviously they cannot sell it, but they can actually give it away if they choose to. So my question would be, how would we ensure that there will not be any irresponsibility in that process? That make sense? Yeah.
So the way that the state has outlined it is you can have basically a 30-day supply is what you can purchase. I don't know what the ounces is on that, but
Like 2.2 something?
yeah,
Okay.
there's a certain number that you can have. If you are going to carry it with you, you must have your medical cannabis card on your person. law enforcement will have the ability to look up whether or not you have a valid cannabis card. So there will be a database that they can access.
Oh, okay.
And similar to, I think that use alcohol as an example, you know, it's illegal to go in and legally purchase alcohol and then give it to somebody that is not legally eligible to have it. This wouldn't be the same way as if you know, the law enforcement would have that ability to cite on that offense.
A while back, you said that the application fee could be anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000. What determines what that fee would be?
So the fees are broken up based on license type. So you're looking at a dispensary having a $5,000 fee, application fee. Processors are $5,000. The safety compliance facilities, those are $3,000. And then you move up into the different cultivator fees, and those move up to $20,000.
And those are the state fees. Locally, you can set what you want. Right, you're not prescribed that you have to set those same fees as the state does.
And we can actually put this to a vote for the voters.
That is an option.
Has to be by August in order to get it on the ballot for November. So then what would be our process to make sure that the voters have informed information to actually vote for that, to vote in an informed manner? I mean, I don't know that, so.
I'm not sure we have the answer to that
We'd have to
question.
do
I
a
mean,
campaign,
there
or
would
somebody
have-
would have to.
Okay.
I don't think it would be us, somebody would have to. I do think if we were to wait for that, then we probably are missing the opportunity to have one.
So I couldn't put on my campaign, I support medical cannabis.
Well, you could.
You can.
I wouldn't do it unless I had your name on with me.
I mean, in a way, I feel like we're looked at as
Yeah.
a regional medical hub.
Mhm.
And to me, this is just one more resource
Yeah, sure, I agree.
of providing medical care.
I mean, we
Yeah.
actually have, I mean, medical is it's our largest industry.
Yeah.
I mean, healthcare is our largest industry, and, the legislature passed this, the governor signed it into law, the majority of Kentuckians, are definitely for medical cannabis. And I think it's, we, as the leading city in western Kentucky and in this region, I think we need to move quickly, in my view, to regulate it, to pass an ordinance, and to allow it, with certain regulations.
The state, it took them a long time to get to this point of what they passed this year. They it's highly regulated by the state. I did talk to a state senator about it. It is highly regulated. So, I agree with the mayor.
So I don't know if, city manager, we need to propose a motion, but I don't want to delay any, I don't want us to delay any, getting to work on this ordinance.
Yeah, well, you've got a couple of avenues. Very quickly, next commission meeting, and would also give you time to your point of getting feedback from your constituents. They have the ability to reach out to you and get find out what they're saying. We could have a resolution ready to move, saying that we support whatever you support on it. If it's all, or if it's just the dispensaries or whatever, we could have that ready for the next commission meeting. And then we'd be working on for the first meeting in June, we'd be working on an ordinance for a first reading. And you could have a second reading, by the end of June. And that would have your fees and all that established.
Make just one note that the zoning ordinance, if you're wanting to do a zoning ordinance, that would have to go to planning first. So, in their next meeting, Josh, remind me,
Early June.
June 3rd? Okay.
So for zoning, that to me seems like that would be more important for the cultivator, processor than the dispensary. I would look at the dispensary again more as a pharmacy.
As a pharmacy
But
or
the others,
retail.
I think, would need to be in a properly zoned area.
Right. Well, and the other side of it is that you can look at what your zoning ordinance says right now, and there are certain things that are allowed by right, and you might not change that, from a zoning ordinance. allowed by right, it would be considered in that, you'd say that's the areas that it's considered in. Except for that it could not be within the confines of the feet, related to a school or, right there. And so, if you went that route, you wouldn't have to change your zoning ordinance if it was something that you were establishing as already by right.
So I would say, take the next 2 weeks to get feedback from any of our constituents. I've already had some that's been pretty adamant, positive moving forward. But, and I think let's bring that resolution in 2 weeks. And meanwhile, I know there's going to be a lot of work having to be done on the ordinance, on planning and zoning, but let's all work together to make sure that we bring to the commission, the puts and takes, on what we can and can't do so that we can make as an informed decision as we possibly can for all of our constituents. So one person who shall remain unnamed said, person in a leadership role in the community said, I don't want our downtown to start looking like Gatlinburg or, a place where there's multiple cannabis stores and people are standing outside and, and smoking and that sort of thing. And this is not what this is not what's going to happen. And this is not what this is going to be about. And we are going to be very deliberate about how we regulate it and where we allow it. For the overall betterment of this community. So.
There would only be one dispensary.
Initially, yeah.
Initially,
yes.
So you got to think about an ordinance that could, not in perpetuity, but in time, could allow multiple.
But wouldn't that have to be approved by the state legislature to allow more than one? That's not something we would approve.
Okay. All right.
It would have to go back to the state legislature.
Yeah, they'll consider that after the first of the year, and each quarter they'll look at it to see.
And they may need more.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Guess, any addition? Okay.
I agree.
Thank you very much for that discussion. We do have an executive session tonight. City Manager, any comments?
None this evening, Mayor.
Any other commissioners? Any
I just want to
comments?
say we had a great grand opening today at the dog park in between two big rains. And it was great to see all of the dogs out there and all of the people that will be enjoying it. I think we made some really good decisions moving forward with it. Today it was great to be on the blacktop and to be in there. So I'm really glad that we've got that completed and hope everyone will enjoy it.
Yeah, without the paved road today, it would have been pretty messy.
Very.
So, okay. I would entertain a motion to move into executive session.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics. Proposed or pending litigation is permitted by KRS 61.8101C, and a specific proposal by a business entity where public discussion of the subject matter would jeopardize the location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a business entity as permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1G.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner
Thanks,
Guess?
sir.
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And we do not expect to take any action tonight coming out of executive session.